Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Camden and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review of Everton's 1-0 victory against Watford last Saturday at our opening game at Goodison Park. Obviously we're going to talk about the game, we're going to talk about Bernard's goal, we're going to talk about the defence as well, as they were brilliant, and we're going to talk about a really interesting stat that I've read today actually, that just shows how good we've been defensively over the last few weeks and towards the back end of last season as well. Like I said, it is the game review. We're going to go into great depth about the game. It wasn't the greatest game of football, it wasn't the most fantastic performance by Everton. Of course the only thing that matters is the result, and that we got the win at the end, and that was what we desperately needed and what we desperately wanted at the start of the day going into the game. However, it's worth noting it wasn't the best game of football you'll ever watch, certainly not at Goodison Park and certainly not this season. Marco Silva obviously come out post game and said that he was asked directly, do you feel like this is the way that Everton should be playing under you now? And he said no, we should be playing much better, and we can be playing much better. It's good that we've held out and we've got the victory and we've been able to see the game off in the end, but we shouldn't need to be doing that. We should be performing a lot better, and I agree with them. Listen, I think the first half performance was very positive. I think we come out firing, like I said in the instant match reaction, every time a Watford player had the ball, there was at least 2 to 3 Everton players sort of on their feet trying to get it back. Jean-Philippe Gbamin ran his absolute arse off. I thought he had a fantastic game. Andre Gomez as well, and then of course we broke the deadlock with an absolutely exquisite ball by Luca Dean, and we'll talk a little bit about him in a second, and a fantastic finish by Bernard. But I think after that we were sort of on the back foot a little bit. Now I think this was, as much as Everton maybe toning down the performance a little bit, I think it was also Watford wanting to come back and obviously not suffer a second straight defeat on the run. So obviously they were piling on the pressure, and I think we struggled a little bit, and we struggled at times defensively, and I said this in my instant match reaction. I wasn't having a pop at Mina or Keane. I thought Mina and Keane were absolutely fantastic all game. It was just one specific or multiple specific occasions when Jordan Pickford had played the short ball out to Yerry Mina, and it works once or twice, but when opposition players start to realise what you're doing, they run you down and they get on you quickly, and then it forces sort of Yerry Mina to then volley it out and have to make a rush decision. And like I said, in the second half we toned it down a little bit. We weren't as positive as we were in the first half. We weren't as energetic. We looked to sort of have struggled, and I think I personally put that down to fitness again, put that down to sharpness again. It's only the second game of the season. A lot of the players hadn't had a lot of pre-season. Obviously, Jean-Philippe Gbamin's only just joined the club, hadn't had a long pre-season. Moise Keane, of course, hasn't had a long pre-season as well. And players like Richarlison, who've only just come back from the Copa America, they haven't had long pre-seasons either. So you did see Richarlison not have his best game. Of course, you did see towards the 60th minute mark, he didn't really have a lot of energy because of, like I said, he's not as fit as he will be later on in the season. Obviously within a few weeks and months, we're still very early on. We needed this win because, like we said in the game preview, we now come out of the first 2 games of the season and we've got a draw against Crystal Palace away from home, which in hindsight isn't a bad result considering the fact that we played the last 20 to 30 minutes with 10 men, and we've got a win against Watford. And regardless of the performance, regardless if we were absolutely fantastic, you can't ask for much more than a 3 points. And if we beat Aston Villa on Friday night, we go top of the league as well. So there's positives there. Now listen, it's only early on in the season, and I think as a fan base we all knew that we needed this win. These are the games, we've spoken about it so much recently, these are the type of games that you need to be picking up as many points as you can. Obviously, like I said, we've got Villa next week, another very winnable game, and we've got a lot of winnable games now on the bounce, and then we start to play a lot of the top 6 consecutively, and we need to be going into those games against the top 6 with as many points on the board as we can, to make sure that we can look at it and we can go, right, okay, we're capable of beating these teams, we're capable of giving these teams a game. But if if we turn up and it doesn't end up being our day, it's not the end of the world because we've got these points sort of backed up. And that's exactly what we done on Saturday afternoon. We went out there, we got the goal, and then we held the game out. It wasn't the most exciting second half, it wasn't the best second half footballing wise. However, at the end of the day, I don't think anybody really cares because we got the 3 points, and that's all that matters. An absolutely fantastic finish by Bernard as well. Bernard actually shooting, how good is it to see Bernard shooting? How many times last season Did Bernard have the ball on the edge of the box within the 6-yard box and you were screaming shoot, and he just didn't seem confident enough. He was a little bit hesitant. He was trying to pass it off. He was trying to look for a man, whereas he didn't this time. He got the ball, he took it round the player and he hit it. And you know what? He's proven there that if he just put his foot through it 9 times out of 10, it's going to end up in the back of the net because he's got a shot on him. I know it took a little bit of a deflection, but in my opinion, it was going in either way. So again, like I said, an absolutely fantastic finish by him, and we didn't really need to do much else. Obviously, Watford didn't provide that much of a threat going forward. Jordan Pickford had to make a really good save. I think it was in the second half, but other than that, they didn't provide much whatsoever. Their front line didn't do an awful lot. Obviously, they had the VAR penalty scare, which we'll talk about in just a second. I want to talk about VAR briefly because I don't want to get into a big, massive rant on it, but I have got an opinion on it because, in my opinion, we should have had the penalty for the foul on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, but it never ended up going to VAR anyway, despite the fact that Delafeo's dive did. But yeah, like I said, fantastic 3 points. Obviously, not the greatest game, but you don't remember how well we played at the end of the season, do you? You look at the game and you go, well, we've picked up 3 points, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. CJ says, as Marco said, we would have lost this game last season, so the improvements are shown. Yeah, exactly. And it was another one of those games, a little bit like the Crystal Palace game, where there wasn't an awful lot in it. There was just one moment of magic, one moment of fantastic play and creativity, and that's what we needed last week against Crystal Palace, and that's what we needed against Crystal Palace last season, and in various of the games last season, we needed that one moment of magic, and we didn't find it. Where did we find it? On Saturday, and we've proven defensively time and time again on Saturday that if we can find that one bit of magic, if we can find that one sort of, that really crucial important goal, we don't necessarily need to score 2 or 3 because we can defend our way out, and we've seen that in the last 10 to 15 minutes where Bernard was going to the corner flag, and I absolutely love to see that. It mightn't be the most entertaining football ever, but if we're 1-0 up at Goodison Park and it's a guaranteed 3 points, I'd rather Bernard be running towards the corner flag than trying to take 3 men on, trying to dribble it to look for a second goal and then them countering attacking and scoring an equaliser. I'd rather us mess about with it in the corner, and that's exactly what Bernard and Andre Gomez were doing, and it was brilliant to see because you could tell Marco Silva had said, listen, we're winning this game of football, we're not playing our best football, obviously we're not at the level of fitness we need to be, we're not as sharp as we need to be, so just play the game out and ensure you get the 3 points, and that's exactly what the lads done. And for me, as much as it wasn't an all-rounder performance, as much as you weren't coming out to Goodison Park going, we were absolutely brilliant there, we won at the end of the day, so it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter because we got the 3 points on the board, and we done it in quite an emphatic way with the goal as well. I'm just going to tweet today's team out so everybody knows we are live. If you're in the live comment, if you're watching it live, please do leave a like. It would really mean a massive amount to me. If you haven't already as well, please hit the subscribe button. Get all your thoughts in the comment section down below. Want to know what you guys have got to say about the game. Obviously, like I said, I put my instant match reaction out. I spoke about Andre Gomez. A couple of people didn't think he had as good a game as I did. I actually thought he was fantastic, to be honest with you. I thought specifically towards that last 10 to 15 minutes, he really showed his quality, and he showed his experience as well to be able to understand, listen, we're winning this game, so we're just going to take it easy. We're going to take the ball into the corner. We're not going to do anything stupid. He showed his experience, and his footwork on Saturday was absolutely unbelievable. Again, another player that's very clearly not fully fit, suffered an injury last week. It was, we didn't know whether he was going to be in the team or not. Obviously, he was in the starting 11 and we were all sitting there going, brilliant, but is he in the starting 11 because he needs to be, or is he genuinely fit? He proved to be genuinely fit, and like I said, it wasn't his greatest game because we're 2 games into the season. He's not as fit, he's not as sharp as you'd like him to be, but he's still got that footballing brain that you've seen in the last 10 to 15 minutes out of that game where you went, you know what, your experience is enough to take us through this, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I want to touch on John-Philip Kabama's performance as well, obviously starting the game as many of us predicted because there wasn't, much other choice, to be honest with you. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. I thought there was moments where he struggled on the ball, he gave the ball away a couple of times, but he'll only learn that. He's coming from a league where he's used to having 30 seconds on the ball, he's used to having 20 to 30 seconds to be able to take the ball down, have a look at where he can pass it, have a look again, have a cup of tea, have a biscuit, have another look and then pass it. Whereas in the Premier League, you can't even look up, you get that ball at your feet and it has to keep moving, and he'll get used to that. He really will get used to that. The kids played before Saturday, he played 45 minutes, 50 minutes in the Premier League, and he's been thrown in at the deep end against 2 sides that were going to want to impress him, Watford and Crystal Palace. Watford were coming to Goodison Park on Saturday to not suffer a second consecutive defeat. When we scored that goal early on, they wanted to get back into the game. They knew they needed to get back into the game. Very likewise, Palace, where we played Palace, opening game of the season, they wanted to get their season undergoing well as well. undergoing in good form as well. So he's been thrown in really at the deep end, and for me, I think he's done absolutely fantastic. I really, really do. And I thought he was brilliant on Saturday afternoon. Stoll says, losing Garner is going to take some getting used to. He was a massive part of our game, so it's going to take a little while for our new midfield to adjust to the slightly different setup. Kabama will be sound. I agree, and that was always going to be the case. Losing a Ghana Gay, I think, is vitally, vitally important to Everton Football Club. And don't get me wrong, it's amazing that we've managed to bring in a midfielder like Jean-Philippe Kabama, who looks to be the part and looks to be a player that when he is fully fit and he's used to this league is going to be really, really good for us. It still doesn't mean we're not going to miss a Ghana Gay. It still doesn't mean that we're not going to be sitting in games thinking you could really do with a Ghana Gay here to just sweep up a little bit, to just throw in a tackle, to just do the running round. But what I seen from Jean-Philippe Kabama's performance on Saturday was he was doing the running round as well. I don't think there was a time when a Watford player had the ball and he wasn't chasing them down, he wasn't getting on the toes, and yeah, he might have lost the ball a couple of times, but like I said, he'll learn about that. He'll learn that he hasn't got that much time on the ball. When he took it down and understood that he didn't have the time and he was passing it on, he was doing really, really well. He was doing fantastically well. He was taking it down, he was passing it on, he was moving. Off the ball, I thought he was absolutely fantastic. There just was a couple of times that he struggled to understand that he hasn't got that much time, but that will come with time and he will learn that. But I do genuinely think we'll be alright. It still will be a loss and we'll be sitting there in games thinking, oh, you know what, we could do with Garner here, but that was always going to be the case no matter who we brought in. If we brought Takore in, that was still going to be the case as well. So it's just one of them, but I genuinely think our midfield, once Kabama's fully fit, once Gomez is fully fit as well, I think, we've got a really, really strong midfield there, and something that offers us a little bit different, because what Kabama offers you is he offers you more going forward than Idrissa Gana Gueye did. He mightn't necessarily offer you as much defensively, he mightn't necessarily perform as well defensively, but he offers a lot more going forward in terms of his eye for the goal. He likes to strive forward, he likes to run forward, he likes to pass forward. He's not a negative player. I'm not saying Garner is a negative player, but you know what I mean. He's more of a defensive line player, and he's absolutely fantastic at doing that. But Jean-Philippe Kabama isn't that type of player, but he can also do the defensive work. The Football Fantasy says, hi, hope you are doing well. Gutto says, hey Cam, great just to win. We're going to play better than that this season, so to come away with 3 points is great. We'd have drawn that last season. Hopefully we're mentally strong. Yeah, fantastic to see you outside the ground as well. Thank you very much for coming up and saying hello. As to anybody that come up and said hello on Saturday, thank you very, very much. It's surreal that people point me out in the street and say hello, but if you ever do see me, come up and say hi, because I'll literally genuinely stand there and have a conversation about Everton for as long as possible, because that's what I love doing. But yeah, 100% good soul, spot on. I agree with everything you've said. Listen, last season we would have been in a situation where we'd have probably conceded. Towards the start of last season we wouldn't have been as defensively strong as we are now. We would have probably conceded on the break, and that game would have ended in a draw and would have been holding out for a draw instead of holding out for the win. And at the end of the day, yes, the performance wasn't fantastic, but you get home on Saturday night, you've had a few beers, you wake up on Sunday and you go, you know what, the Blues won. And they're the type of games that we needed to be. This is the situation that we need to be in as a football club and as Evertonians, is that you are never going to go 38 games in a season. Manchester City will never ever go. Barcelona, at the peak of their ability, will never go 38 games, a full season, battering everyone, going every single game's an easy win. There will always be a game where they win by one goal, or they barely win, or one moment of magic wins them the game in an overall a game that they were quite poor in. And they're the type of games that win you the league. They're the type of games that get you the points on the board. You are never going to batter everybody. You're never going to turn around everybody easily. There will be games that are really, really tough, and it's in those games that you need to find that moment of magic, and you need to get that winning goal, and that's exactly what we done on Saturday, and we held out for that. And I think coming out of it with the 3 points is the most important thing at the end of the day. Alex says, yes, Cam. Yes, Alex, hope you are doing well. Football Fantasy says, when are you doing your fan cams? I spoke about it with a friend of mine on Saturday. Hopefully it's coming within the next couple of weeks. Obviously, we don't play for a couple of weeks. So I'm hopefully going to have a couple more conversations with him, and stay tuned basically to the channel. Football Fantasy also says, thoughts on True Geordie trending number 1. I've read a little bit on Twitter. It's about something a little bit crude and sort of out the ordinary for True Geordie. I'm not going to go into it because it's not relevant to the stream or Everton Football Club, but yeah, it is what it is, isn't it? Stoll says, I'm happy with how Silva is slowly introducing Keane as well. Looks like a real threat off the bench, and it won't be long before he's starting. I agree, spot on. We're going to talk about Moise Keane's performance a little bit later on. I thought he was fantastic off the bench. He had 2 really, really good opportunities. I think he showed in the first opportunity when he took the player on that, he maybe was going for a little bit of a match of the day goal, stars in the lights. He tried to put his foot through it basically instead of, well, either curling it round the goalkeeper or carrying on his run because there was no one in front of him. And the second one, it's an absolutely unbelievable turn. He turns the player inside out and he's inches wide, and I mean inches wide. You could have blown that ball into the back of the net. That's how close it was. But he wasn't even looking at the goal when he took that shot. And you could see when he was coming on, he played 5 to 10 minutes, and then you could see he wasn't quite fully fit. He was struggling a little bit. So once he is fully fit, once he's got his sharpness up as well, I genuinely think we've got an absolutely unbelievable player on our hands. And I agree with you, Stroll. I think the way Marco Silva is introducing him is fantastic, because we understand as a fan base that you can't just throw a lad like that into the mixer straight away. He's 19 years old. He's never played in this country before. He's never played in this league before. You can't just throw him in and go, right, you're our number one striker for this season, go. He needs to be introduced slowly. And I watched the Falcon Blues talk about Moise Kean yesterday, and they were saying how they don't necessarily think that he'd be starting games consistently until around Christmas, January time. And you know what? That might be the case. But what we'll see with Moise Kean is we'll see him come on for 20 minutes one week, 30 minutes the next, maybe play it after next week, maybe start the week after, and then go back on the bench the week after. He will be brought in, sort of sporadically for the time being, and that's exactly what needs to happen with him. So he keeps his confidence and he keeps his hunger as well, because that means every time he comes off the bench he's going to want to impress. Football Fan says, thoughts on Watford's performance? Listen, they weren't bad in the second half. They challenged us, they really did. I think they're struggling in terms of final product. I don't think they've got much final product in that team, but they put pressure on us, and they got through a couple of times and they caused us a couple of issues. But yeah, I think final product's their issue this season. And Alex says, did you see Jordi getting exposed? I did. CJ says, well, whether it's 2 or not, we can only allegedly say it's 2. He hasn't come out and said anything yet, but it is what it is, innit? Whatever. Don't get involved in all that stuff, me. And CJ says, was Keane's offside for the turn goal? I think it was given offside in the end, but I just mean, retrospectively, it was inches wide anyway, and maybe he was offside, but it would have been a fantastic goal either way. Anyway, I suppose we'll go into talking about some of the key points in the game. Listen, obviously we started well, we started strong, we started on the off foot, of course. Obviously, the something that was caused debate before the game was obviously the flags at Goodison Park, the guys at the Originals who were responsible for creating such a fantastic atmosphere at Goodison Park over the last few weeks and months, or months really, toward the back end of last season, because we haven't played there before Saturday. Obviously set out to a load of blue and silver flags at Goodison Park to tie up the atmosphere. Some fans liked it, some fans didn't. I quite liked it. I think it did create an atmosphere. I think that added to the siren, added to obviously the first game of the season. I think it all helped in creating that feeling that you want at Goodison Park, and it obviously helped with the players as well, because they come out firing. They come out absolutely firing. We had the majority of the ball in the first 25 minutes to the first half. Obviously, we were creating opportunities. Richarlison had a couple of headers that, realistically, if he was a fully fit, fully sharp Richarlison, he put them away. A couple of headers that he was left alone and he could have done a little bit better with. That is what it is. He had one at the Park End in the first half and one at the Gladstone in the second half, I believe. The one at the Park End, if he'd have headed it down, it'd have went in, but he tries to head it up and he doesn't quite get onto it and it goes over the bar. Like I said, every time a Watford player got the ball, there was 2 to 3 Everton players on him, pushing him, trying to win that ball back. Jean-Philippe Gbamin was part of that as well. And then, of course, we broke the deadlock. Bernard shooting, finally for once. Bernard having a shot and proving that when he has a shot, he is boss. Before we talk about the shot itself, I want to talk about something that Evertonians appreciate and Evertonians have spoke about very, very highly on Twitter, but nobody else seems to have, because the lad plays in an Everton shirt, and why would you give praise to anybody that plays in an Everton shirt if you are not a fan of Everton Football Club? Luca Dean's pass. Danny Murphy can piss off. Anybody else that thinks this is a long ball or a punt doesn't know what they're talking about. They're chatting shit. It's a world-class pass by a world-class player. He looks up, he sees Bernard makes the run, and Bernard's run is fantastic as well. For Bernard to understand that Luca Dean can play that sort of pass and to make that run initially is absolutely fantastic. Luca Dean's pass is world class. Don't get it twisted. Don't listen to anybody that says it was a punt or he just hit it or, he was aiming for Bernard but he didn't think he would. Bullshit. It was a world class pass by, in my opinion, the best left back in this league. He plays it over the top. It's absolutely unbelievable. Bernard gets on the end of it and he does what he does best. We didn't see him shoot a lot last season, and obviously we didn't see him score many goals, but what we did see him do is take players on last season and rip players to bits, and that's exactly what he done again on Saturday. He got the ball on the left-hand side, obviously. He cut inside, he done a step over, he cut inside, and he hits it. And yes, it takes a slight deflection, but it goes into the keeper's right. And it's an absolutely fantastic goal from start to finish. From the ball from Luca Dean, that's unbelievable, to the finish by Bernard, that's unbelievable. And all of a sudden, you're 1-0 up and you're going, you know what? That's an absolutely fantastic goal. That's an absolutely fantastic finish by Bernard and a fantastic ball by Luca Dean. You think you'd appreciate it the first time you see it if you watched it, you know, on the telly or you watched it live at the ground. Wait until you see the replays of it. Jesus Christ, that fella is unbelievable at football. Bernard obviously takes it really, really well, put the ball in the back of the net, and it's 1-11, and you're thinking, you know what? This is fantastic. We've started positively. We're creating opportunities. Every time Watford are getting the ball, we're on them like shit on a shovel, and we've opened the deadlock with a fantastic goal. Let's go out and let's kill the game off now. Let's continue to do this. But obviously, it wouldn't be Everton if it wasn't done hard, was it? Would it? So anyway, obviously, first half sort of plays out. Again, we create a couple of opportunities. Watford start to, I think, turn the gears up a little bit. Watford decide that they want to start actually playing football and that they need to improve if they're going to get anything out of this game. Obviously, they start to pressure us a lot more. They start to run us down a lot more. And I think from the goal going in, between then and the final whistle, you started to see that we were coping with the pressure that Watford were putting on us. I think the quality of our players was shining through. I think it was quite clear that we had the better set of players because, like I said, the quality of them to take the ball into the corner towards the back end of the game, to use their footballing brains. But I do think, obviously, we started to see the reason as to why, you know, the fitness levels maybe not as high as they possibly should be or will be in the future. And sharpness as well wasn't high, and you've seen that going through the game. You've seen that the players were starting to get a little bit tired. You've seen that the players were starting to sort of pull up a little bit. Richarlison was doing it, obviously 60-70 minutes in, you could see that Richarlison was struggling, and that's absolutely fair enough. The lad's just had a fantastic season with Everton, finished top goal scorer and went to Brazil and won the Copa America and scored in the final. So, and he's had probably 2 to 3 weeks holiday, and I know that's a lot to anybody else in a normal job, but being a professional athlete, having no pre-season as well, he's come back straight away and he's been straight in the team. I think he played the 90, or he played the majority of the game last week, and he's obviously played 60-70 minutes this week as well. So you could see that he was starting to pull up. He was starting to suffer. Other players around him as well. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think, had an okay game. Again, didn't really provide much going forward in terms of in front of goal, but done a lot of the hard work that we're used to seeing Dominic Calvert-Lewin do now, bringing the ball down, using his body, using his feet, getting himself out of difficult situations. You know what, I actually think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's ahead of his years for that, for bringing the ball down, and he can have 2 or 3 players around him and he will get out of that situation. He won't have the ball taken off him, and that's why I appreciate him so much in this squad. Listen, he's not an out-and-out goal scorer, and at the end of the day, that's what we need. And if you said to me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going to be your number 9 this season, I would be disappointed because he doesn't score enough goals. But if you're going to say to me, Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going to be part of your squad this season, part of your team this season, but Moise Keane's going to be the lad that we look to for goals, Richarlison's going to be the lad that we look to for goals, I'm more than happy with that, because I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin plays his role and plays his role really, really well in this squad. It's not an out-and-out striker. Maybe some fans will think he's the number 9. He plays up front. You know, if he's not scoring goals, get him out the squad. But I just think he offers us something that nobody else really does. Offers us that we could utilise. Obviously, that is all retrospectively if we've got a striker there that's scoring goals as well. If we haven't got a striker in the team that's scoring goals and it's between a goal scorer and Calvert-Lewin, obviously, you know, we need the goal scorer in there. But if, you know, if Moise Keane comes in and there's a potential that Moise Keane can play alongside Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I think that could be a fantastic partnership. But anyway, getting back onto the point, Calvert-Lewin starts to look a little bit tired. I actually think Gylfi Sigurdsson improved as the game went on. I think he started the first half, you know, more positively than last game. I think he fed off, obviously, the home support. I think he fed off the atmosphere. I think he started a little bit more creative. He was getting on the ball. He looked a little bit more confident than he did last week against Crystal Palace. And I do think he improved sort of towards the second half. However, again, wasn't at the level that we know he can be at. But overall, like I said, once the goal went in, you seen Watford step the game up, and Watford were, you know, you could see them thinking, we need to get something out of this game. This will be 2 consecutive defeats in the Premier League. There'll be pressure on us, there'll be pressure on the manager. We need to get something. We need to at least show that we're starting for something out of this game, and I think we dealt with that fantastically well for the entire game. But you could see that it was getting to us towards the last sort of half an hour, and especially in the second half as well. We were making a little bit of mistakes. People were giving the ball away in midfield. You could see that it was getting to Jean-Philippe Gbamin as well. Like I said, for me, I spoke about this last season as well. the decision for Jordan Pickford to play it out to Yerry Mina and Yerry Mina to clear it, that's absolutely fantastic once. But once you do that once you do that twice, opposition players start to get onto what you're doing and they start to chase Yerry Mina down. And it wasn't Yerry Mina's fault whatsoever, but he was given no option but to punt it. He was given no option but to hit it that way because Jordan Pickford was putting him in that situation. Now, whether that's a direct instruction from Marco Silva or the defensive coach, I don't know. But for me, I don't like that. If Jordan Pickford's capable of hitting the ball up and Yerry Mina's only going to hit it up, then let Jordan Pickford hit it up because it takes that pressure off the team. Where are we in the live comments? CJ said Keane did look so sharp. Yeah, I agree. I thought he was absolutely fantastic when he come on. If you're enjoying the stream so far, by the way, please do hit the like button. It really, really would mean a massive amount to me. And if you haven't already, please do subscribe as well. Currently got 13 people watching. Streamed a little bit earlier today. Like I said, the streams are usually at 6:15. However, I'm actually going to my brother's for tea today. So I'm home alone, basically. I've been alone for 2 weeks because my mum and dad are pissed off to Spain. So my brother's invited me down. So that's where I'm going. So I streamed a little bit earlier today. In terms of the stream schedule this week, just to go off topic a little bit, we'll be streaming today. We'll be streaming on Wednesday and we'll be doing a live game preview to the Villa game on Thursday, obviously because we play on Friday night. So today, Wednesday and Thursday, but we'll talk a little bit about that towards the end of this team. Jeff says, alright Cam, like most, I'm not exactly happy with how we played so far, but 4 points, no goals conceded and so much potential for us to improve. Exactly, spot on Jeff, and you know, I think you're spot on there. Listen, we weren't brilliant against Palace. We weren't brilliant on Saturday, but we've got 4 points out of 2 games, and realistically, when you look at it, we've got a win out of our home game, which you would expect, and we've got a draw out of not only an away game, but an away game that we were put in a position where we had to play the last half an hour with 10 men. And when you look at that retrospectively against a side like Crystal Palace, who again we struggled against last season with 11 men, you sort of think, well, you know what, that's fair enough. And like you said, like Marco Silva said, like we've all said as fans, we will only improve, we will only get better, and that's why I think we should really, really look at this result in a positive light. Good Soul says, yeah, great to have a chat before the game, Cam. Yep, absolutely brilliant. And are you confident with the Mina Keane partnership? Keeping them fit is key. I am. We're going to talk about the defence in a second, actually, because I think they were absolutely fantastic on Saturday, and I think they've been fantastic for a number of weeks now, both weeks of the season and towards the back end of last season. Granted, Kurt Zuma was a part of it towards the back end of last season, but we'll talk about the defence as a whole, because there's an absolutely unbelievable stat that I want to talk about in a second. That when I read it this morning, I just thought, well, I thought 2 things, and you'll understand when I tell you that. I thought, that's unbelievable, and I thought, we've jinxed it now, but we'll go on to talking about that in a second. But yeah, I am confident with them, I'm confident with that partnership, but you're absolutely right, keeping them fit is key, and I think we need to ensure that those 2 players are fit for at least until January, when we can bring in another centre-half as cover, but they should be the 2 centre-halves going forward now, 100% in my opinion. Stall says there was plenty of games last season where Gylfi was poor, but we had no replacement. Maybe we will see Iwobi come on for Gylfi quite often this season. Yeah, and I think Alex Iwobi would have come on Saturday. Obviously, Luca Dean was forced off due to injury, which isn't fantastic. We don't know a lot about that injury yet. All as we know is that he walked off. All as you can take from it is what we've seen with our own eyes, and that was that Luca Dean walked off. He took a knock. Obviously, Seamus Coleman went to left back, and Mason Holgate went to right back. But I think the positive to take out of it, like I said, is that he didn't seem badly hurt. He stood up, he walked off, and he wasn't looking, he wasn't struggling. He didn't appear to be struggling. So hopefully it was just a precautionary measure. But I do think we'll have seen Alex Iwobi if Luca Dean wasn't forced off with injury. And I think you're absolutely spot on. Alex Iwobi will provide an alternative to Gylfi Sigurdsson. He will provide something a little bit different, competition. And in games that Gylfi isn't doing fantastically well, he will be able to come on. He will be able to give us something different to improve the squad. Jeff says, hey Cam, did you see the story about United pulling the plug on the Rojo deal because they see us as rivals for top 6 and did not want us stronger? Yeah, I did. I think it's really, really interesting, of course. I think it's interesting that other teams around us are starting to see us as rivals. Makes you wonder why Sky and BT and all these other companies don't think that we're rivals and seem to think Leicester and Wolves and Watford are, above us in the challenge for top 6. I think that's a load of shit in my opinion, although Leicester are a decent side to be fair. But yeah, I did see that, really, really interesting, of course. I wasn't the biggest fan of Rojo anyway. I didn't badly want him. Looking at it in this perspective, now having only 2, real sort of Premier League quality centre-halves, in my opinion, I probably would have taken Rojo as backup in competition, but not for the money that he wanted and not for the price tag that United wanted. And obviously, it's nice to hear that they see us as top 6 challengers, because I think that's exactly what we are. We are challengers to Manchester United. They should be worried. Chelsea should be worried. Arsenal should be worried, because if we can beat teams and we can get, 3 points against sides like Watford in games that we don't play particularly well, what can we do when we're playing fantastically well? Well, the answer to that is we've seen at the back end of last season. We can beat all, United, Chelsea, Arsenal. We can beat them all. So I think they should be worried, and they're right to be. Alex says, was it you two Jordy was talking about? No, it wasn't me. And Alex says, Jack Grealish has lost 20 Premier League games in a row. Next game, Everton. Yeah, let's hope that continues. However, it is Everton, and we like to break sort of records like that, don't we? Anyway, talking about defensive anyway, I want to go into the defensive element of our game, and I want to talk about Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, and not just Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, but Seamus Coleman and Luca Dean as well. Listen, we were absolutely unbelievable defensively again on Saturday. Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, absolute powerhouses in that defence. Absolutely fantastic. Never let anything get past them. The one opportunity they did get past him, Jordan Pickford cleared it. And I think we can look at this now and we can think, if we've got two powerhouses at centre-half in Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, two fantastic defenders who will clear anything in the air, clear anything on the ground, and will stand up to players like Delafeu, who was diving, like Pereira, who was throwing himself on the floor, and genuinely have a go. Two brick shithouses that people are genuinely scared of. And then we've got a goalkeeper that, if anything does creep past those defenders on the off chance, like we've seen, once or twice against Palace, like we seen once on Saturday, we've got a goalkeeper there that we can be confident in will stop the shot. I think they were unbelievable again. Absolutely fantastic. Everything that they had to deal with, they dealt with properly. Everything that come in the air, they dealt with. Like I said, Yerry Mina using his strength, using his power to deal with players that were, running at him on the ball as well, other than the situation that I was talking about earlier when he was giving it and he was put under pressure because of the short goal kicks. On the ball, they were genuinely really, really good, the pair of them. Every time, a Watford player was running towards us, we were dealing with it fantastically well. And there's the stat that I wanted to talk about. Everton tweeted it out earlier today, and, you'll probably hear this, and although, as any other normal football fan would hear this and go, Jesus Christ, that's brilliant. But obviously, everybody watching's an Evertonian, so we'll probably all hear this and go, why the fuck have you said that? Why have you tweeted that out? But anyway, Everton tweeted out today, a little fact for you. We have not conceded a goal at Goodison Park since the 6th of February. The 6th of February. Now, that's 6 months ago. Now, granted, it was off-season and, we didn't play at Goodison Park for large parts of that time. But I think, if I'm right, it was Manchester City at home. We haven't conceded a goal since the 6th of February. And obviously, knowing that, fans would say, well, a lot of that was off-season. They also tweeted how many minutes we've played at Goodison since then as well. That's 540 minutes of football without conceding at Goodison Park. Now, it's very, very clear that Marco Silva has got the defensive element of our game nailed down at the minute. He's got Yerry Mina and Michael Keane playing absolutely fantastically. And yes, he come out and said he was worried that we haven't got a backup centre-half. Yes, we all are a little bit worried because at the end of the day, you can't account for injuries, you can't account for suspensions, you don't know what's going to happen throughout the course of the Premier League season, so realistically, it was a little bit silly going into the season without backup centre-half, but for me in January, in the summer, I wouldn't be looking at a centre-half to come in and play week in, week out. I'd be looking at a centre-half to come in and be on the bench. And if we approach Kurt Zouma, I'd be making sure Kurt Zouma knows that if we continue in this form, he doesn't get in this team, and he is purely competition, he is purely cover. Because I think that stat itself shows how fantastic we have been since that Manchester City game. And let's not forget, we've played Liverpool, we've played Arsenal, we've played Chelsea, we've played Manchester United. Since then, we've played Watford, we've played a whole lot of other teams, Burnley, since that game against Manchester City, and we haven't conceded one goal. We haven't conceded this season. So on paper, technically, we've got the best defence in the league. No, I'm only messing, it's only 3 games in, I'm not going to go that far. But anyway, my point is, we've been absolutely fantastic defensively over the last 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of the season. We haven't let anything get past us. We've been fantastic at home. We were fantastic against Crystal Palace and the back end of last season as well. And if we can keep this up, I'm not saying we're not going to concede at all this season. Obviously, that would be silly to say. But if we can keep this form up, if we can keep up that Yerry Mina and Michael Keane, fantastically defensively brilliant 90% of the game, and maybe they only let one opportunity through. Yes, we will concede goals or points this season, but if we can be that defensively good throughout the entirety of this season as well, imagine where we can go. Imagine where we can finish. Marco Silva's nailed down the defensive element of the game now. He's got that defence working as a unit. He's got that defence working as a team. He's got 2 fantastic powerhouses at centre-half. He's got a world-class left-back, and he's got, an experienced, fantastic right-back that knows the club inside out. That's the club captain. He's got that nailed down. Now, for me, Now we need to nail down going forward. Now we need to nail down a goal scorer, because football's a game that the aim is to not concede and to score. At the moment, we aren't conceding, so now we need to work on the other side of the game, other side of the pitch, and that's putting the ball in the back of the net. And if we can have games like the Watford game, where maybe it is just one little bit of magic that wins us a game of football, and the defensive work also wins it, because I think it's important to not only look at Bernard's goal and look at that and think, well, that won us the game because that was that one bit of magic, but also look at the defensive performance from Yerry Mina and Michael Keane and go, well, you know what, their performances together won us the game as well, because they were so fantastically strong that they didn't let anything get past them. Jordan Pickford's save won us the game as well, because he didn't let anything get past them. But I think it's a really, really interesting stat. Let me know, obviously, your thoughts on that within the comments, and it just shows how well tight we are defensively at the minute, and how well Marco Silva's done to get that. Because if you realise, obviously, we were always really, really tight defensively, always really, really good defensively under David Moyes. However, when Roberto Martinez come in, second season Roberto Martinez, we struggled because he got found out that he wasn't he was an inept defensive coach. Ronald Koeman was shocking defensively as well, and yet Sam Allardyce, I don't really want to say Sam Allardyce was brilliant defensively, because he just stuck everyone behind the ball, and obviously you're going to be better defensively if you've got 11 men behind the ball. But Marco Silva's come in, and within a season he's shown that he's got that defence working exactly how he wants it. Now, remember when we were all worried, last season about zonal marking and about the defence and about conceding balls from from set pieces and stuff, and I'm not saying that'll never happen again, touch wood it doesn't, but we can see the improvements, we can see how much we've improved defensively in this first 2 weeks of the season and towards the back end of last season as well. It was always, leaving last season on such a positive, leaving last season on such a high, it was always a situation of, well, you know what, we need to carry on this form going into next season, because we were brilliant towards the back end of last season, but we need to carry on this going into next season. And we were all sitting there in the pre-season thinking, will we carry it on? And you know what, we did, and we've been fantastic defensively over the last couple of days, and that's proven by a stat like that. 540 minutes of football at Goodison Park without conceding. Now, of course, we're Everton Football Club, we do nothing easy, and this probably means we're going to go and concede the Villa, not being a killjoy or not trying to dampen the mood, but that's just an Everton thing to do, isn't it? But nevertheless, defensively we were unbelievable on Saturday, and against Crystal Palace we were unbelievable as well, and we're being fantastic in the last couple of weeks, and let's hope that we can keep that up, because I genuinely think Yerry Mina and Michael Keane can form a fantastic partnership going forward. And I don't think we need a centre-half to come in and play week in, week out. Yes, we still need the centre-half to come in and provide cover. Yes, we still need the centre-half to provide competition, but I don't think we need somebody to come in and play week in, week out, because I think Yerry Mina and Michael Keane are more than good enough. If you're enjoying the team so far, please do hit the like button. It would mean a massive amount to me. Like I said, Jordan Pickford as well, pulling out an absolutely unbelievable save when he needed to. Obviously, I think it was Toydini went one-on-one. He smacked it against his face, and Jordan Pickford done the professional, fantastic move of going down and wasting a little bit of time. Again, they got through once. It's going to happen in a game of football, isn't it? You could have the best defence in world football. Teams are going to get through you. But it's unbelievable, and it's absolutely crucial that we've got a goalkeeper there that, if need be, will stop those, and that's what Jordan Pickford needs to be used for, in my opinion. We spoke about it towards the back end of last season, and I said, I don't want to see Jordan Pickford involved that much in any game of football. I don't want to see him making worldy saves left, right and centre, because to me that means the defence aren't doing the job properly. That means the midfield aren't doing the job properly. If we can remain defensively strong throughout the entire of the game, and Jordan Pickford only has to make one or two quality saves, you will see how good of a goalkeeper Jordan Pickford actually is, because he will make those all-important saves. He really, really will. And if the defence is as strong as it's been in recent weeks, that's all that we need him to do. I want to talk about Jean-Philippe Gbamin's performance in a second. Before I do that, I'm going to dive back into the live comments. Mikey says, how are you feeling ahead of Friday, mate? Really, really confident. I think it'll be tough. Villa away is always a tough game. Obviously, I think they've suffered, I think they've drawn and got a defeat this season. But again, they're going to be wanting to go out and get a win as well. James said about Jack Grealish not not winning any of his last 20 Premier League games, so they're going to be up for it. They're going to want a victory, of course. It's one of the longest running Premier League fixtures in the longest running English League fixtures in the history of the English League. Aston Villa versus Everton, so be really, really exciting. Fantastic away day for those fans that are going down, but I am confident. And again, if we can get the 3 points on Friday, then you are genuinely sitting there going, right, we're 3 games in and we've got 7 points. We've got 2 wins and a draw, and against sides that could of any other day turned us around, and we're not fully fit, we're not fully sharp. So I think it's, really, really important that we go out and get the 3 points on Friday, and for me personally, I am confident. Jeff says, it's interesting to note that we took 6 months last season to get our defence sorted. This year, bang on from day one, meaning he can concentrate on the attack now. Exactly. And we may take 6 months to get the attack sorted. It may take 6 months for Moise Kean to settle in properly, but that means that come the back end of this season to next season, we're going to have an attack that's sorted as well. We're going to have a defence that's sorted as well, and we are going to be challenging for the top 4. James says, Jack Grealish hasn't won a Premier League game in 20 attempts. Upstep Everton, yeah. That would be written in the stars, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. CJ says, let's get Pickford the Golden Glove. He's on course for it now. 2 clean sheets out of 2, of course. Alex says, starting 11 for the next game. I will discuss the starting 11 for the next game in the game preview. Sorry, you'll have to wait for the game preview on Thursday night at 6:15. So don't forget to join us for that one. Yeah, and I'll go through my predicted starting 11 then, because obviously I don't think we can say it now because we don't know whether Luca Dean's going to be fit. We don't know the situation regarding Moise Kean, how he's going to improve throughout obviously the week's training. We don't know the situation regarding Fabian Delph as well. So we'll leave that one till Thursday night. Jeff says, a big difference that I've noticed that we don't seem to be panicking anymore. We were under the cosh Saturday but kept calm. Exactly, spot on. We did. Fantastic comment, Jeff. We really, really did. The last 10 to 15 minutes of that game, it was all Watford were obviously busting a bollock to try and get something out of that game, but we kept our calm. We sat back and we went, you know what? No, you're not getting out of this game. We're going to run it into the corner flag. And there was a point where I sit in the park end, the left-hand side of the Gladys seat, Andre Gomez and Bernard had the ball, and they were just playing it between each other, quick feet, one to the other, and they were absolutely fantastic. And they kept that ball in that position of the pitch for the last 5 to 10 minutes of the game and seeing the game out, and we were calm, we were collected. When they broke in the last 20 minutes, we dealt with it well. And again, that's the confidence that's being installed by Marco Silva and the coaches as well, is to say you don't need to panic under pressure. You can keep the ball, and if you don't panic, you will win these games of football. If we'd have panicked on Saturday, Watford would have probably got an equaliser, but we didn't panic and we won the game. Live of it says, defences breed confidence you build from the back. Meaning and Keane were always the long-term plan anyway. Glad to see Bernard take his goal well. I was concerned he could be Stuart Barlow in disguise. Yeah, spot on, mate. Meaning and Keane were always going to be the long-term plan, of course. It was when Brands bought Meaning in. I think Zuma was back up originally, and then obviously he was playing more and more because of Yerry Mina's injuries and what have you. And you're spot on. Bernard took his goal absolutely fantastically. Evertonian TV says 4 points to start the season, good start. Yeah, I agree, spot on. And Lavivid says front to goal. Jeff says, we know what you meant, Lavivid. Lavivid also says, we have at times gone from one tactical extreme to the other. Silver has the right balance. Yeah, I agree, spot on. He really, really does have the right balance. Mikey says, hang on. Am I at? Yeah. Mikey says, we'll be very disappointed if we don't come away with 3 points against Villa. Me too, Mikey. And I'll be very, very ecstatic if we do come up. If we do come away with the 3 points, because I think that shows what a really, really good start to the season we've had. Live of it says, glad you understand, Jeff. Jeff puts a smiley face. CJ says, we'll win on Friday, we'll be top of the league. Hopefully, and you best believe my instant match reaction will be singing that top. No, I'm only messing. I'm not cringy like those cop-ites. But yeah, if we do win on Saturday, we will be top of the league. Realistically, we should win on Friday. There's nothing stopping us. Jeff says, yes, but having a solid defence means we'll still pick up points while we are sorting our attack out. Yeah, exactly. Spot on. James Fitzmaurice says, is Steve fit? Doesn't seem it at the minute. Obviously, he hasn't had much of a pre-season either. So, I dare say it'll be a couple of weeks before we see him involved. Live of it says, I like how Silver starts new players on the bench, aka you and you get in the queue and fight for your place. Yeah, it's that, and I think it's also you're not ready yet. I think Marco Silva knows, Moise Kean knows. Even I think if we were in a little bit of a different defensive midfield situation, example, if Fabian Delph was fit, Gabama would be playing on the bench as well. I think those players understand that they're not ready to jump straight in yet, and they're happy to make that transition, and Marco Silva understands that as well. Jeff says, yeah, we were composed. They have 5 forward players at the end, but we muzzled them. Exactly, and they done nothing really of note. And Alex says, you've seen Prison Break. I haven't actually, mate. I'm looking for a new series to watch on Netflix though after finishing Stranger Things. So yeah, I haven't. Maybe I'll watch it. Anyway, I want to talk about Jean-Philippe Gabama's performance before we finalise the team, because I think he deserves a massive shout out. He got a little bit of stick last Saturday after the Crystal Palace game. A lot of fans seeming to think that he wasn't good enough, even though they'd only seen him for 45-50 minutes. Listen, he made a couple of mistakes on the ball. He did. He made a couple of mistakes on Saturday on the ball as well. But again, like I said earlier on this team, I think he's getting used to the Premier League, and he's getting used to understanding that you don't necessarily have 20 seconds on the ball. You have to pick the ball up. Before you get that ball, you have to know where you're passing it. You have to know where you're playing it. You have to know what player you're bouncing it off. That's vital in the Premier League. It just is. And I think it's going to take Jean-Philippe Gbamin a couple of weeks to learn that. But what we've seen on Saturday is that he's fantastic off the ball. He chases the ball down. He's fit as a fiddle. He hasn't had much of a pre-season, obviously. He's only just joined the club. He played 50 minutes against Crystal Palace. He played 90 minutes against Watford. Obviously, after himself saying before the Crystal Palace game that he wasn't, really fit to start, he had to come in, and he's done his job really, really well. Like I said, I think if you're watching Jean-Philippe Gbamin and you think, we give the ball away a little bit too much, I don't think we have to worry about that. I think that'll only come with time, and that is because he's not used to this league, and he's not used to not having a lot of time on the ball. I think when he had the ball and when he gave it quickly, he was absolutely fantastic with it. He was playing some really, really nice passes, really, really forward passes as well. He was chasing players down, and he was making sure that he was constantly on the toes of any Watford player with the ball, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic on Saturday. And again, like Moise Kean, like any of the other new signings we'll see, he will only get better. He will only improve. In terms of Moise Kean, obviously we've seen him come off the bench again the last 20 to 30 minutes. He was doing roulette spins. He was taking players on. The kid's unbelievable. The kid is unbelievable. He's a fantastic footballer. Again, we've seen him, puff up a little bit, and we've seen him sort of struggle for fitness, and that's obviously expected, because he again hasn't had much of a pre-season. He again hasn't had a lot of training, but you could see the quality that he pursues, and also you can see the confidence as well in the kid. The kid isn't scared to run at players. He isn't scared to take players on. He isn't scared to do a skill move. And it wasn't the fact that he done these skill moves and you're thinking, oh yeah, he's confident. He pulled them off as well. He ripped Watford player to bits twice. He turned one of them, and yes, he probably should have taken the shot a little bit better, but he tries to hit it. He goes for the shot, and I dare say that was probably because he was thinking, I'm a little bit knackered here. I don't think I can run this, so I'm just going to go for the shot. And the second one, it's an absolutely fantastic turn, offside or not. It's an unbelievable turn. He turned the player inside out, and he's inches close to the goal. And when he is fully fit, like I said, when he's got his sharpness up, he won't be offside, he'll be onside, and you can see the quality that kid possesses. And again, like somebody mentioned in the comments earlier on, it's fantastic that it's fantastic that Moise Kean is being introduced off the bench. He's being given 20 minutes, half an hour here and there, because I think Marco Silva understands, as do us, is that if he was to come on from the start, he's not fit enough to do that yet, and he's not used to the league enough to be able to come on and play 90 minutes from the off. So it is what we need to happen at the minute is for Moise Kean to come on towards the back end of every game, play 20 minutes, play half an hour towards the back end of every game, and if he continues to do that, we will get to a point within a few weeks and months where he is starting week in, week out, and he's at that fitness level that he needs to be, and he's at that sharpness that he needs to be, and we've got such a fantastic striker on our hands, in my opinion, when he is at that level. And we've seen glimpses of it on Saturday, of course, and we'll only continue to see glimpses of that as the weeks go on. So yeah, overall, listen, it wasn't a pretty game. It wasn't the best game of football you'll watch at Goodison Park this season, but we won the game at the end, and like we said at the start of this team, it's about winning those games of football, the games that you're not necessarily playing fantastically in, the games that you're not necessarily dominating, but we're getting the 3 points, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. When we look back at the end of the season, that's all that matters. We'll be looking back and we'll be going, well, we got the 3 points, so what matters? James says, would you take Jerry back? I don't know. I don't know whether we're past that at the minute. I still think he's a genuinely good player, and he's obviously got a lot of love for Evertonians and vice versa, but I don't know whether he'd fit in our squad and the way we're going at the minute. Jeff says, saw an article from some German journalists who compare Gbamin to Yaya Toure. He's so much more dynamic than Guy. Guy was great but limited. Fair enough. I think he is more dynamic than Guy. I really, really do. Not saying he's a better player than Guy. Not saying that, we've absolutely replaced Guy and we're not going to miss him. But I think he is more dynamic, and I think he offers more going forward as well. And I think, like you said, once he's fully fit, we'll start to see that more often. Where are we? Jeff also says, I think he could actually turn out to be a truly great transfer. I agree, spot on. Lavid said, like the comments about Gbamin sounds like a midfield general. He is, and he will be going forward. You're seeing how dominant he was in that midfield on Saturday, and that's only his second game with his new teammate. He's known them for 2 weeks, and he was dominating. He was moving people about. He was making sure that his part of the pitch was covered, and he'd done that fantastically well, in my opinion. Ian says that the ref missed the Freemason is a secret red. I agree. We're going to talk about VAR briefly. I want to talk about it briefly. I've left it till the end of the scene because I don't want to rant, but we'll talk about it in a sec. And Jeff also says, when we get our best 11 fully fit and firing, we are going to be bloody good. We are spot on. We really, really are. Anyway, listen, VAR, I will touch on it. I'm not going to go into it because there's a whole new debate for a whole new day, a whole new video, a whole new live stream that I could sit for hours and talk about it. But obviously, there was one situation that went to VAR on Saturday, and that was Gerard Deulofeu coming into contact, or not coming into contact, coming into a situation with Yerry Mina. Basically, he took it round him, and Yerry Mina sees the ball off. I think he makes a tackle, he wins the ball, it goes out for the corner, and Deulofeu does some sort of acrobatic dive. Whether it's to try and win a penalty, whether he genuinely felt he got clipped, it doesn't really matter. He done some genuinely dramatic dive. Yerry Mina goes up, tells him where he should be, and it goes to VAR. Lee Mason VARs it. We don't know what the fuck's happening. We're all sitting there going, is this going to be a penalty? Have we lost our lead? It comes up on the screen, checking. You're sitting there for 2 minutes, and then it says no penalty. And you're thinking, boss, mustn't have been a penalty. He must have dived. Now, I'm not going to go into how they should do a lot more to inform fans as to what's happening at that time, so we're not just sat in the dark with no, clue what's happening. However, my issue with VAR at the minute, there's many issues with it, but my main issue with it, not that you don't really know what's going on, not that it's allowing goals that are a millimetre offside or whatever. My main issue with it is the consistency, and the consistency of the refereeing. Dominic Calvert-Lewin was ragged down in the box. Did that go to VAR? Did it fuck? They didn't even take a second look at it. Now, what constitutes what goes to VAR and what doesn't? Because in my opinion, you've got one referee who doesn't know what he's doing, running around the football pitch, and you've got 5 referees in the back that don't know what they're doing, watching a screen. He proved that multiple times already this season when VAR's got decision wrong, and in the back end of last season as well in the other competitions. That's my issue with it, is the consistency with it. I've got no issue with, if you're a millimetre offside, you're offside. Yeah, spot on, bit harsh, but whatever, is what it is. If Yerry Mina had whipped them up and that he wouldn't have touched the ball, VAR penalty, it is what it is. But why is the Dominic Calvert-Lewin situation not going to VAR? What constitutes what goes to VAR and what doesn't? Because if Watford are getting an opportunity that could have potentially turned into a penalty, and could have potentially turned into a penalty whether Mina fouled him or not, because the referee could have made any decision he wanted, why aren't we getting the same treatment? Why isn't Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going to VAR? And that's the issue I have with it at the minute, is that consistency, and it's the same issue I have with referees week in, week out. It's the consistency, and I think sticking a camera there, sticking 5 referees looking at the telly, there's still that consistency issue, and that's why I'm just a little bit frustrated with it at the minute. But anyway, it doesn't matter, we won the game, so who cares? Lavivit says, in short, VAR is good, but should be used sensibly. Yeah, it needs a lot of tweaking, it really, really does. I think it's a good idea, but it needs a lot of tweaking. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's team. A massive thank you to everybody for watching. A massive thank you to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. If you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. 19 people currently in the stream, got 10 likes. Let's see if we can get to 12 before we end the stream in a couple of minutes. Massive thank you for watching. Like I said, really do appreciate it if you're watching and you've got involved in the live comments. Once again, a massive thank you for joining me live. If you're watching a YouTube video afterwards, leave your comments in the comment section down below, and I'll be reading those and replying to those all night as well. It'll be really interesting to hear what you guys have to say. I will be live again on Wednesday at 6:15 for another live stream. We're going to talk about some more Everton news. We're going to hopefully talk about some more injury news as well, and give an update on that. And then Thursday for the live game preview of the Aston Villa game, of course. We'll be giving my predicted starting 11. We'll be discussing how I feel about the game and how I believe we should go out and get 3 points again. We've got a fantastic 3 points on Saturday against Watford in a game that, we weren't fantastic in, let's be honest, but it doesn't matter because we won it, and that's all that matters at the end of the day. And we got a decent draw against Crystal Palace the week before in circumstances that you'd take at the end of the day. So yeah, really good result on Saturday. Wasn't the best performance, but we'll only get better, we'll only get fitter. Marco Silva said that himself, and we all believe that as well. Hopefully we will be another week's down the line in terms of training. The players will be another week's fitter, another week sharper, and hopefully we can get the 3 points, and we should get the 3 points on Friday night as well to take us to the top of the league where we should be as Everton Football Club. But anyway, like I said, a massive thank you for watching. Please do hit the like button if you have enjoyed. Hit the subscribe button if you're new as well. Really would mean a massive amount to me. Just slightly off topic, I did upload a Stranger Things Season 3 review on my personal channel. If anybody's interested in that, you don't have to watch it. It's not going to affect the live streams. It's not going to affect the Mighty Blues whatsoever. I'll still be doing at least 3 streams a week and an instant match reaction. In fact, the plan is to do a lot more content on this channel, so that channel won't affect this whatsoever. However, if you're interested in Stranger Things and you want to go and have a little look at that, the channel on YouTube is just Camden D. Hay. If you search that, it should come up. I'll try and leave a link in the description. I'll go on the description in a minute, and I'll try and leave one down there. With 14 likes, massive thank you for all of your support. It really does mean a massive amount to me. Where are we? Jeff says VR is not going anywhere. It's new and there will be teething problems, but it'll get better over time. I do agree with that one. Jeff says, cheers Cam, enjoy your tea lad. Thank you very much. Alex says, just like, thank you Alex. Alex says, say hi to Rowan, the Sri Lankan raf for me, whoever that is. There you go, hi. And Shabba says, thanks Cam, another great doof. Thank you very much, Shabba. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody else for getting involved in the live comments and watching the YouTube video as well. Don't forget to join us again at 6:15 on Wednesday afternoon for another live stream. Should be a really, really interesting one. Fantastic result on Saturday. And let's hope we go and get another one on Friday night as well to take us to the top of the Premier League. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you have enjoyed. And I'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues.